The rows are similar, and the big, tire tracks, walking those, of course when you're a kid they seem really big. It's quite dry here now, unusually, and that's a similarity as well. Butterflies, yeah. It's strangely comforting being in this field. I love the drive here. There's a great sense of space. It flattens out so you can see for quite a long way, and that's nice. And kind of textures, it reminds me a bit of the Midwest, particularly this time of year when you've got sort of grains and the kind of faded ochre, sort of sandy colours. When I'm on my own, quite often I go up on the cliffs in the field, and with my husband or daughter quite often this is our main path to the beach, and it's lovely, all these grassy dunes. I love the colour and the texture, and it's really kind of hot and dusty on this path, and you get these barbed wire fences and wooden poles, and it's just lovely, really. Sometimes that reminds me, dill, because it's like, dill pickles, gherkins or whatever, but I need to sow some more. But that reminds me of home, actually. And the tomatoes and the squash and green beans, all of it, really, which I suppose is halfway why I'm doing it. While all this work was brewing, kind of, or, if you will, distilling in the pot or something, I had, I was collecting, by nature, I had all this stuff around me anyway, but started collecting it, and I remember, I photocopied off, there's a picture of my dad, before I was born, and he's got his softball uniform on, and then, so they do, and there's different pictures, different photographs of when we were kids, and my mom, and different ones I know of in albums at my parents' house that I want. A pair of dungarees that I used for paintings that were actually my uncle Marvin's. He's passed on now, and they're that engineer stripe, that really does. So different fabrics do. Like an old red barn, wooden barn, and the chipping, and you can kind of mimic that a bit, which is, again, I'm not painting a barn, but it's something of the thing I want to bring into it. My family home was Dedham, Iowa, which was 10 miles south, and where my father was born and where they grew up, on a farm. I moved to Cornwall just over 13 years ago. I live in a small village called Praise and Beeple with my daughter Amy, who's 7, and my husband. Moment when I experienced some fairly strong anti-Americanism, and I've been critical of it myself, obviously, but it made me re-examine what it is that I valued and what it meant to be me, to be American. Home, what home meant, what I was proud of, what I wasn't. The patchworks and things, although they weren't perhaps intentional, at first they've emerged, and what they have a lot to do with are stories of home, I think, and much as people come together, in your life, and bits of my home are friends from South Dakota who I have in here, and family from Iowa, and dear friends who I've met in Cornwall, and that all, that's the patchwork of my life, of my experience of home, and things we recreate, and that's, I suppose, what some of this imagery is alluding to. You bring bits of it with you, don't you? And then, you remember, some things are triggered, and you remember those, and I suppose it's some kind of entity that starts building that you carry around, and then at some point you realize that you're almost shaping and editing what gets to stay and what doesn't, and what you're going to pass on, if you want to, and how you're gonna define it. Fantastic. French toast, bacon and maple syrup.